One is the manga author of One Punch Man, Mob Psycho 100, Bug Ego, and a plethora of other incredible stories. But did you know he has a new isekai manga, and it is actually insane? This is Versus. It's written by One, it's drawn by Kyotaro Azuma, and it's composed by Bose. It's a monthly manga that started November 2022, and it only has 32 chapters so far, so it's relatively new. I'm not a big lover of isekai manga. I read the Isekai Doctor recently and I fell in love with it. I think it's phenomenal. I made a video on it. In that video, you were all telling me to read this story. Read Versus, it's insane, it'll change your whole outlook on isekai, you'll love it. Admittedly, I was concerned because the only thing I seen for it was crazy action sequences, which is not something that I was really looking for. Even though that is the bread and butter, the most popular aspect of isekai manga, or the fantasy or statistical RPG elements that accompany it, this seemed different. But I didn't want to spoil myself, so I read it, and it is phenomenal. Still very meatheady, very action focused, but the amount of different ideas in here that clash together in this really fun, chaotic way is absurd. And I think it's some of the best work that One has actually done in trying to, let's say, break the idea of isekai manga, or at least push it to its absolute limit. Versus is a story about humanity fighting back against their natural enemy. You start off the story in a typical isekai fantasy setting. This place is called Sufferents, and their natural enemies, demons. Very, very powerful individuals, and you get a taste of just how powerful they are. Humanity, using all the magic and all their heroes at their disposal, cannot do anything against them. They're weak, they're insignificant, all of their powerful heroes get obliterated. The main character Harlow, who's considered one of the more powerful heroes, loses as well, gets a whole arm ripped off, but manages to escape until his brother, Zabi, saves him. Zabi is a sorcerer, and his guild and all the sorcerers behind him have planned an alternative attack against these demons. They have spent years traveling the globe to set up certain landmarkers to teleport in a brand new world. Other humans from a different dimension so they can help fight these demons. This actually works. Humanity's last chance. They bring in a whole nother dimension that can help them fight demons, but it isn't just one. You would come to find out that because all of these portals were open, 13 other dimensions would portal themselves in and place themselves on this earth. But they wouldn't just bring saviors, they too would also bring their own natural enemy. So it turns out that every dimension that got brought into this world is also at the brink of extinction, similar to Sufferent and the main character Harlow and Zabi. So these other dimensions were also looking for ways to bring in other people into their world to help them fight with their natural enemy. To simplify it, 13 places in total have 13 natural enemies that were all looking for other dimensional support, now are fighting their own natural enemy together. And it is absolutely wild. So Sufferents are the main group. They're who you start with. They're the typical fantasy isekai. They're trying to fight demons. The next one you meet is the Mecha Ordnance, a very advanced military using laser beams and full armored suits, etc., and they're fighting against AI robots. The Titan Crowns are humans that are buff and brolic and are fighting out against giants and titans. Neoterra is fighting what is called neo-humans or evolved humans that have replaced the human population to the next step of human evolution. Celestia is very advanced humans that live in space that are fighting aliens. Land of the Lawless is fighting other lawless human beings. The Disastrous Metropolis of humans trying to survive and fight against active kaijus. Parasitica are people trying to fight against parasites that burrow into the body and take control of the host. Gaia's Wrath are people trying to fight back against sentient plant life that is taking over their world. Indignia is fighting God, the thing that they try not to worship. Yggdrasil is fighting the world tree that is sucking up all life force in their world. Extremia is fighting some sort of game system, or they themselves are stuck in some sort of game. And last but not least, the Cursed Lands are fighting some sort of mysterious curse that rots anyone and everyone it comes in contact with. All of these people get brought in as representatives to help Sorceron and the main character Harlow and Zabi, but they also bring their natural enemies. This might sound very crazy and chaotic, but that is kind of the point. Funniest thing about Versus for me is that when you see the demons at the beginning, you see how powerful they are. You understand instantly that any of the characters in this story won't be able to beat them. You then start to see some of the other dimensional people come in and have technology and abilities and things that they can do to actually hurt other demons. But then you see their natural enemy, and the demons start to look more and more insignificant. When you're reading this story, this is like the highlight, because you don't know what natural enemy is going to out-tier or out-strength or out-power the other natural enemy. And the one that you start off with is very vicious. Demons are horrible and insanely strong, and they remind you of beings from One Punch Man design-wise. And then you see the AI robots that are actively evolving and rapidly changing to the environment that they're in and the things that they're versing, and they become really powerful. But then you see a kaiju, and this thing's obliterating the world. Neo-humans are scary. They're obliterating things as well. These little alien fellas come down and they're just like abominations. Cute little things, but incredibly powerful, and no one can really touch them. And then you see God. I can't tell you how over the top, how ridiculous, how fun this story actually is. Because in the middle of it, everyone is just trying to survive, and they all feel as hopeless as the other person because they're all just looking for people to help fight their natural enemy with them. But none of the people that are here can fight any other person's natural enemy. So their last resort, the big idea that they have, is to take each other's natural enemy and try and make them fight. And this is the smartest thing the story does. Because you don't know how strong these things are, you don't know what type of fights they will get into, you don't know how much they know or evolved or this or that. There's so many polarizing differences. When they do combat, you get a action sequence that is out of this world. I would say this is easily the biggest selling point of this story. The action is to die for. The fights are so absurd and over the top and creative, and they just continue to one-up themselves every single time. What helps drastically is the artwork. One has a very peculiar understanding of the type of story that he wants to tell. Clearly, if you've read One Punch Man, if you've read Mob Psycho 100, you're going into Bug Ego or you're reading Versus, you'll see exactly why he picks the artist that he does. Kyotaru Azuma is ridiculous with the penmanship. I wouldn't be surprised if this is someone that has helped with One Punch Man or any of other One stories, because this artist is getting very close to Murata's penmanship, at least in the sense of scale and scope and visual identity and flair within One Punch Man. Obviously, it's a different flavor within a different approach, but with the sheer amount of people and places, cultures, identities, designs, different philosophies, there's so much design variation going into all of these different places. Having them clash in the most polar opposite ways is beautiful to witness with such amazing artistic intent. The story isn't relatively crazy or out there. It's safe, it's approachable, it's digestible. There's a lot of character charm that reminds me of One Punch and Mob Psycho. There's a lot of humor that reminds me of those stories. And there's a lot of One's elements bleeding in from other stories. This is a good thing. It makes the reading experience really nice. It makes the downtime and the build-up towards these massive conflicts even more interesting. I will say some of the characters obviously feel a little bit short-sighted, a little bit hollow, a little bit nothing, but I think that's okay for a story like this. It's not the main focus or the appeal. You're dealing with so many different people, so many different ideas that unfortunately some of them are going to be left behind. I found this story to be really fun, really enjoyable. As an isekai manga, I honestly didn't even clock it. It didn't feel like an isekai manga because it's kind of reversing it, so to speak, or expanding so far out of the realms of what is technically isekai that it doesn't feel like one, even though you could easily clarify it or put it into that genre, subgenre, etc. That said, if you are looking for beautiful artwork, some massive fights, some crazy ideas, and just the absurdity of all of these things, I think Versus is 100% going to be up your alley. It's more than worth a read, or at least checking out, and I think you will easily have a good time with it. It's a monthly, so it only has 32 chapters, so it's a quick read, but one that is very, very entertaining. A big thank you to these special Patreon members for supporting me. Leave a like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it, and I'll see y'all later. Mwah.